Ah man, I love Hotline Miami. Such a good game, man. Such an amazing. I love browsing YouTube. I, for the I love. Oh, what's this? A release trailer. 6 years ago, Midnight Animal. Is this a mod? What is this? This mod will never be released, although I'm sure that's obvious given the 2016 release date, and the fact that there's no gameplay for it anywhere to be found other than in the trailer that I just showed you, and in showcase videos for the short demo that was released by its developer, Spencer Yan. But we'll get into that in a second. That's a whole other can of worms. The mod was basically going to be a sequel slash spin-off to the original Hotline Miami series, taking place a few years after the events of the second game. And it garnered a lot of attention and love from pretty much all Hotline Miami fans alike. That was until Spencer, the game's dev, decided to change the game based upon his own personal interests, adding things like Persona-styled art, changing the story of the game from being a sequel to Hotline Miami 2 to a love story, and so on. These changes were all made without any prior warning or communication with the game's fans at all. The reaction from the fans were very mixed. Some were fine with it, as long as the classic adrenaline-filled Hotline Miami gameplay was kept, but others absolutely weren't having it, calling it weeaboo trash and just things of that nature. Up until this point, though, the game still had a light, and was being developed steadily by Spencer whenever he found time to work on the project. Seriously, this dude was working on it 18 hours a day. But eventually, in around February of 2017, after all the backlash he received regarding the changes he made to the game, Spencer broke. He completely trashed the project. He was still going to make a game, but it was pretty much completely different from Midnight Animal, with no Hotline Miami gameplay segments, and all around just being one big visual novel. Now, I could go into depth about the game's early development and how it all eventually led to it getting cancelled, but that's already been done way better than I could probably do it. I'll link 2 videos in the description if you want to hear more about it. Seriously, both of these guys did great. I cannot recommend a better documentation of the events leading up to Midnight Animal's cancellation. Please go show these guys some support, especially as what I've shown so far is merely a snippet of what actually went down. Now, what I wanted to talk about specifically in this video is what could have been. What would we have gotten from a full product of this game? Where is Spencer today? And is there hope of the project ever being revived? Well, starting with the first question, and as a matter of fact, let me just show you some gameplay.
process where we connect the chart.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately where the demo ends. There are some updated versions of this same demo scattered around the internet. I'm sure if you look hard enough you'll find them, but I showed this one particularly because most other versions of the demo beyond this point have been altered in some way, or just straight up viruses. I would put the version I have up myself, but I don't know how Spencer would like that. It's his game after all. But that being said, this demo is perfect. Game developers, take notes. This is how to introduce your game. Maybe like a little short intro at the beginning, and then boom, action. The lights, the music, the way the weapons sound and feel. The variety of weapons. I mean, seriously, one man did all of this. Just look at the amount of weapons we have. There's knives, katanas, cleavers, a flamethrower, AKs, ARs, pistols, the laser rifle from Fallout, even though I'm pretty sure that's just an Easter egg. But you get my point. And this is just to name a few. There's also some minor story we get at the end of the level. Keep in mind that this is a first demo version of the game, so it still takes place before the original Hotline Miami 2 after story was abandoned. A lot of people actually don't like this cutscene. Some say it's badly written, but personally I think it's actually pretty interesting. Of course it's completely left up to interpretation because the game was cancelled, but there are a few things we can gather from this short interaction. The woman's name that we're talking to is Amy Mallory. The man we're playing as is named John. We're never told anything about him beyond his first name, and that he works for a woman named Nicole. Nicole sent John to get Amy, so that her and Nicole could talk. Amy seems dismissive at first, when John mentions Nicole, but it's soon disregarded by Amy, and she immediately goes back to being hostile towards John. She tells him that if Nicole really wanted to see her, she would drop by like a normal person. She then tells him to get the fuck out, and then he shoots her. Although the wound isn't fatal, and much to Amy's protest, she's forcefully brought by John to Nicole. Now, there are a couple theories we could gauge from this, but the most likely in my opinion is that this Nicole person works for 50 Blessings, and John, the character we play as, is an operative for 50 Blessings hired by Nicole. Now that may sound strange at first, but it would explain why John just straight up shot Amy like that. If you've played the Hotline Miami games and are well versed in the lore, you should know that 50 Blessings are not to be fucked with. If a 50 Blessings operative doesn't do what's asked of them, they die. It's as simple as that. That would explain why John felt a need to force Amy to come along with him. He may have not had a choice, or maybe this whole stupid fan theory I've just written is completely wrong, and Spencer is watching this right now rolling in his grave, in which case I would look incredibly stupid right now. Either way, it's all subjective, at least until a full product is released. Even if everything I just said is entirely wrong, it's just some food for thought as to how the story of the game could have gone, but you never know. So, what was the point of that whole thing? We can make theories and fantasize as to how the story of MA could have gone and what it might have looked like with a final release all we want, but what good does it do? The game will never be released. Spencer pretty much said it himself, right? Well, that's not entirely true. If we take a look at Spencer's Twitter, we can see that he's still very active, and is still very much making games to this day. He's currently working on a project called My Work Is Not Yet Done, Apostasis, and it looks really good, judging by the trailer alone. He even made an update about it recently on his Twitter. But what's that got to do with Midnight Animal, you ask? Well, let's take a look at the Document of Midnight Animal page, the official itch.io page, or itch.io page, I don't know how to fucking say it, that was previously made by Spencer before Midnight Animal was taken down. If you try to go there now, you'll be met with a little message from Spencer. It reads the following. The document of Midnight Animal was an experimental, ultra-violent, top-down shooter platform, created as a post-mortem exercise for the since-cancelled titular Midnight Animal, presented as a continuous rolling release. It was designed as part of an ongoing personal project to push the boundaries of Hotline Miami's core gameplay by radically altering and introducing a wide variety of new elements and modes, inspired by trends in modern first-person shooters. It has formally been discontinued as of 2018. I hope to one day be able to revisit it in better faith. That one sentence. I hope to one day be able to revisit it in better faith. The project still has that tiny glimmer of hope. Think about it. Spencer's still working on games to this day, so once he finishes his current project, who's not to say that Midnight Animal just might be next? I know that supposedly someone somehow got Midnight Animal source code and is working on it to try and revive the project themselves, but to be honest, I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like the only person who can work on Midnight Animal and do it correctly is Spencer. Some might think it weird of me for saying that, but in the end, it was his project, his vision. He had everything planned out from the start. He just let his emotions blind him. And having someone completely different work on the game just feels strange. I don't know. All we can hope for is that Spencer eventually makes due to his word to return to the project one day. Until then, there isn't much else we can do. Maybe the guy that got MA source code will produce something great, but I remain skeptical. I want to see this project succeed, just like so many other Hotline Miami fans. But all that can really be done is to wait. Thank you for watching. Hey, Donut here. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I put a lot of effort into it. I know it's extremely different from all the other videos on this channel, but I think that's probably a good thing. The algorithm favors variety after all, and honestly there hasn't been much to upload recently. Of course I'm still working on all the aforementioned projects on this channel. Those will come out soon, of course, but for now, I hope you enjoyed this video, even if you have no idea what Hotline Miami even is. Looking back at what's left of Midnight Animal, and it honestly feels like looking at a piece of ancient history. I found this video back when the project was greenlit on Steam.
Spencer Yan, thank you, I love you. Come on, give me a kiss, come on, get in the bed with me right now. Come on.
And it's kind of weird, as the internet was in 2016, but it's honestly kind of wholesome. It sucks that everything had to end the way it did, but again, who knows? Maybe with some time, we'll see the project revived. I really look forward to it. But yeah, I gotta get back to slaving away at my own projects now, so without further ado, thank you so much for watching. Roll the outro.